You ready to do this, Steve?
Let's do it, Spence. Punch it, Chewie.
Welcome, Superfriends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot, as always, is Steve Madura.
Good evening.
We're two best friends that, despite being fathers and husbands, we just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 48. We release every Thursday mornings on iTunes, Google Music, and Stitcher. Steve, 48 episodes in a row, man. That number keeps climbing. How you feeling about that?
You know, like they say, is the secret to long life is to keep breathing.
Okay, that's awesome.
I'm just saying, we keep getting on every Tuesday, keep throwing them out every Thursday. The number will continue to go up based on what I know about general algebra.
Gotcha. My geometry tells me that the angle of your equation works out to approximately infinity.
Miss Lundgren taught you well.
Right? Miss Lundgren, my next door neighbor?
Remember when she was like locked in a closet for an afternoon and she went crazy?
Yes. I mean, I don't personally remember. I didn't lock her in a closet. I just want to state that right now.
Sad day.
I heard some friends fell off a turnip truck.
That's right.
And did that.
Would that be, I mean, they always talk about how rewarding a career, education is. But man, like getting
locked in a closet by your students.
No,
that's not rewarding.
I remember there was a time when it was Mr. I don't even know the name, Mr. Carver. I don't know. There was a chemistry class, and there was a substitute teacher, and he had put all of these very long. They were like 3 foot long,
yes,
like beakers.
I was in that class with you.
Yeah, and yes. He had them all like connected into these like holders, these little vice grips to hold them in place for this experiment we're all supposed to do. And he's like, "Now everybody, be very careful with these beakers because they're like $45 each, and don't." And also, it's like, tee. He's like, "What was that noise?" And one of them broke. He's like, "Oh, what was that?" And they all started breaking because he had like tightened them.
You're breaking the beakers.
You're breaking the beakers. Yeah, and like all of them systematically like broke, like it was like on cue. And he probably that was like his month's salary. And then he started
as a substitute.
Started to weep into his hands and ran out of the room like a little girl.
I mean, it didn't help that we started throwing tomatoes at him on his way out either.
Odd that we had grapevine tomatoes.
Right. That's just one of those things in life that just happens.
One of those things, yeah.
You don't ask why, you just roll with it.
Get
out of here!
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, how are you? What is going on? What is new in the Madura land?
Oh, man. I just can't believe that it is 3 days away, my friend.
Believe it. Believe it.
3 days away until Spencer Stapleton crosses this great country of ours and comes back to the motherland.
Yo, yeah, baby. Coming home. Coming home.
So are you pumped not only to see me? I know you want to see me, but are you pumped for your reunion? Are you pumped to see friends?
So this is really funny. Like today I actually paid for the reunion because I wasn't 100% committed to the reunion. In case the Cubs made the World Series, Breed and I were going to go to a World Series game. Like we'd made that plan. And so I was, tinkering on the idea with, if the Cubs made the series, I was going to fly back out. We were going to stay with you. We're going to be in the city. We were going to go to the Cubs World Series game, and I was going to skip my reunion. Like, literally, that was going to happen.
Sadly, loyalty runs deep. Not with friends, with sports teams.
Right. Sadly, the Cubs were eliminated, so I was like, hey, congratulations, guys. I'm going to come see you. That makes me sound like really, really arrogant. Like, yeah, that's not how it is.
Second choice, like sloppy second. She's like, I guess I'll come see you now that there's nothing better to do.
I doth proclaim I will endure your presence this evening. No, it was one of those things. So anyway, I paid the fees for the food and the hors d'oeuvres and the drinks and all that stuff today, actually, because I was waiting till the last minute.
Did you miss some like early bird special where they're
nope,
like,
no.
Okay, good then. No harm, no foul.
Heather Henderson is our class president, a wonderful human being.
Girl, love her.
And she's probably not listening to this, so I'm not like buttering her up for anything, but she's a sweet, amazing human being. And she basically said like, it's going to be the same cost all the way up until right at the door. So it's like $50 a person, but if you pay at the door, it's like $60 a person. And so she's taking care of that. I mean, I think she's got a committee and she's doing all that. So there's things arranged and planned, and so it'll be good. Like, I'm looking forward to going home. I haven't been to our hometown in like maybe a good decade, and my wife Brita has never been there.
Oh, she never has been, never ever.
She's never been.
Oh my!
So she'll get to see where I grew up and take her around, show her some of the sights, go to Ollie's, maybe Ellison's Bakery, hit some of the important things. Like, donuts and custard.
Yeah. Where's that statue you told me about all this time, Spencer? The star quarterback when you beat, an overtime victory?
I was like, actually, they moved that to my mom's house. Right. It's little. It's about 6 inches tall. Just,
led
whatever.
Your team to victory? I'm like, it was Tecmo Bowl.
Right. You got to play the game and all the way through, and then you can see it with my initials. Yeah.
Right.
No, so we're looking forward to coming back. I know I asked you how your week is, and I feel like now I'm talking about me, but...
No, it's all about you.
Well, that's what I've said my whole life, so... Anyway, we're coming back, and we're gonna... Okay, so here's the thing. I told you I was gonna stay with you, like, every night, and that's changed a little bit. So we're gonna stay with you, like, the first night, and then the second night, we're gonna be in the city all day, and Brita said, hey, we're going and seeing Hamilton that night. Maybe instead of, like... seen that and being done late, because we're probably going to get out of that like 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
She's like, instead of getting out that late and then like going back to their place and it being late, she's like, let's stay somewhere in the city close to the theater. So we got a room at the Palmer House, which is this really nice place.
Yep.
Yeah, really nice place. And we were looking at pictures of the inside of the lobby, just these fantastically, wonderfully painted like ceiling of this lobby. Come to find out it's the home of the brownie. That's where the brownie was invented. So I hope it's good. We're going to try that. So we're going to stay there. And then Saturday, we're going to drive out to Sycamore and, do kind of the whole hometown pumpkin fest, go to the reunion. And then we're staying in Sycamore that night. And then we're going to come back on Sunday and spend some more time with the Madura family.
Nice.
So,
well, it's too bad. The weather up until literally yesterday afternoon was like 77 degrees. It was beautiful. Suddenly, like, it turned. It's going to be 36 tonight. It's rainy, and it might snow on Friday. Wow. So cheerio.
Well, last weekend I was in LA, and it was in the 90s. So, yeah. I mean...
I guess it's true what they say. Hell's going to freeze over when Stapleton comes home.
That's right. So let it be written, so let it be done.
Yes,
anyway.
So.
Yeah. So really, really excited. And like... Honestly, like, we got a lot going on, obviously. We're going to try to see a lot and do a lot of things. But, like, man, I'm really excited just to spend some time with you. I know it's been only a year since the last time we got to hang out some.
Yeah.
But, like, in person, like, that's just too long, man.
Is that crazy, though? Like, a year? How fast a year can go? To be like, yeah, we were at Wrigley Field a year ago?
Right.
That's fast, man.
Yeah. It'll be a year ago this weekend.
Yeah. Like it was yesterday. A year ago yesterday. Well, that's awesome. Well, we are of course stoked here, and the plates have been well licked, and we're ready to have you.
Nice.
We're ready to have you. A little background here. We were at Spencer's house one time, and we were all saying the prayer before dinner, and whoever was voicing the prayer said amen, and then my little Carter, I think, looked up at Spencer's brother Josh and was like, I licked your plate. He's like, only a Madura would do that. You devil.
He has learned wisely.
That's right. Well, cool. So yeah, we have had a very busy week here. We had my brother-in-law and his family in town, who we just adore. They're fantastic, and their youngest, they have 3 boys. The 2 of their boys are off at college, and seeking their fortunes abroad. But their youngest son, Jonathan, who I've always got along really well with, he's 18. We went to Six Flags this weekend, which was crazy busy. But we got these passes to go see. They have like 6 haunted houses on site. And my brother-in-law is an orthodontist and is always very generous. Got us fast passes to go to these haunted houses. So he, Jonathan, and myself went through, and you get to go through the exit. So there's like no line. You get right in. It's pretty awesome. And we're going through these different haunted houses, and there's a lot of they have a lot of actors. So it's a lot of like haunted houses that are just kind of like you walk through, and a lot of people are just in there trying to scare you, right?
Sure.
They're on a lot of big scenes. But in this one that was themed like a hospital, it was called like Medical Mayhem or something like that, where there was like escaped patients, and everybody was in like hospital gowns and zombie-ish and all the rest. We're having just a great time. We're laughing. We're having fun, getting scared. There are these 2 double doors that like go into like a surgery room, kind of like you'd see at a hospital. And I'm like, all right, Jonathan, let's open real slow and see if anybody's behind there. And he's like, Chuck Norris, bam! And he kicks open this metal door and it goes and flies open. And this poor girl who was hiding very close to behind the door, but not entirely behind the door, was like totally freaked out. It's just kind of funny, like, the tables definitely turned on that one, and she was like, ah! If she would have been behind the door, like, she would have been killed.
I always feel like with the haunted houses, like they say, like, oh, this is a no touching haunted house, blah, 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 blah. And others like, okay, this one's the wild one because like they can reach out and grab you. It's like, if someone grabs you and you don't know who they are, you fight for your life. You scream rape. You do what you got to do. So like, I always look at this. I'm like, I probably shouldn't go to haunted houses because I'm going to be the guy that's like getting arrested because I beat the crap out of some like 14-year-old kid who was just trying to scare me. He's like, Mister, right. I was just trying to grab your ankle and you curb stomped me.
You pistol whipped me, and why did you have a pistol?
Right.
Shut your mouth, boy. Yeah. Anyway, so it was a great time. We had a lot of fun, and it was just I hadn't been to a haunted house in a few years just because my kids are not of age yet, and so I have no real reason to go. But it was just fun to do that. And then the night before, we met them downtown with some other family that was in town, and we took the whole crew to the Blue Man Group.
Oh,
and, yeah. So it was perfect, like 5th grade humor. I haven't seen the Blue Man Group in some time, but there's a scene where they're like, they pull somebody up from the audience, and they're having this woman, they usually pick a pretty girl, sitting at this desk or this table, and they're kind of trying to woo her with these different gifts and whatnot. And then they had outfitted her with this like chest thing that she has to wear, and it starts spewing out all this like stuff.
Yeah.
And they start like eating it and stuff. And of course my kids thought it was great. And we had to sit in the splash zone, so we had like ponchos on and stuff, and it was great.
Did you bring your own blue paint in case you needed to be an understudy?
never nude. A little Arrested Development.
Did you blue yourself?
Sounds so weird. No, but what was actually funny was I had to go earlier that day to some property inspections in the western suburbs, and again, we're a 1-car family, so anytime I need to go do some property stuff like that, I have to rent a car. And I have this place right with my house that I go. It's just an Enterprise, but they know me. They give me a good deal every time I go. It's like $20 for any car I want. And so I call them, like, hey man, can you hook me up? I need a car like in 10 minutes. They're like, we don't have anything. I'm like, are you serious? I need to go. I'm going to be late if I don't leave within 10 minutes. They're like, nothing? You don't have anything? They're like, well, we have this one thing. I'm like, whatever it is, I'll take it. It was a 17-passenger, like, short bus, like, what? You could, like, stand up inside of the back of it.
Awesome.
It had, like, 5 rows. I'm like, I'll take it. And so I pull up to this first property inspection with a very high-level colleague of mine. And and he's already gotten to the place because I'm, like, a few minutes late because I had to do the paperwork. So I get inside and he's like, hey, so what'd you get today?
Was the bus yellow?
No, it was white, but it was almost like those shuttle buses that they pick you up at the airport to take you to the rental car place. It was like that. And so I'm like, but it was a Mercedes. So I get in there and my colleague's like, what'd you get today? I'm like, oh, it was a Mercedes. He's like, sweet. So we go outside and I get into it. He's like, that is ridiculous. And so I have to.
We have a mobile home for you.
So I have to drive around for an entire day. Like we're in a caravan. It's the seller, my colleague who's in his really nice Lexus, and me in this white short bus. Like, I mean, the wheel must have been like 3 feet wide. It was like, moving right along in search of good times and good news. Felt like I was looking back and the Muppets were like, hey, Kermit, let's go. We'll save the band. Oh, it was hilarious. So anyway, then the kids, I get home and the kids are like, it's a limo. I'm like, not really. And so we ended up taking that down to Chicago. Carrie's like, let's not. We're never going to find a place to park it. I'm like, we're taking that thing. And so it was Addison had his own like 2 rows. Carter was all the way in the back. And then it was Carrie and I up front. I'm like, Carrie, maybe we should buy one of these. This is nice. So anyway, so it was
Were
awesome.
you worried about hop-ons?
You got to watch out for the hop-ons. I thought we'd do some Ubering and just have it pay for itself that night. Like, yeah, let's just turn the app on.
That's awesome.
We could have housed 20 people in that friggin' thing. So it was hilarious. So anyway, but it was a good weekend, and always happy to be back in the what I'm going to call the fun. Fortress of Nerditude, fun. Get it? FON, the acronym.
The fawn.
The fun.
The fun. we're having so much fun.
Surprise! Oh gosh.
I just have this image of like a little Korean lady trying to board your bus, thinking it's like the little bus to like the church or something.
She's like, Enterprise. I'm like, no. This is not what you think it is.
Wow.
I give you 1-star rating. 1-star rating.
You crappy Uber driver. Why you do this? You're like, I'm not that. Never mind. That is awesome. Well, I'm happy to be here with you in the fawn as well.
oh, and get this. My colleague in the Lexus, he takes a picture of me and he emails it to like half of our office. He's like, Steve's got a church van. I'm like, you jerk. And so I start getting all these emails back like, nice ride, Madura.
You need to send me that picture. I will use it for social media.
I will do it now.
Nice. Nice. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
I was excited to tell you about, going and seeing Hamilton this upcoming weekend, or, talking about how, Jude, just the other day, you know how kids say like the funniest things?
Yep.
Charlie says to me, he says, Daddy, and now picture this, he's on our bed, he's in the spot that I sleep in, and he's sitting there and he's kind of like propped up on my pillow, and he says, Daddy, I'm going to take over the world. And I was like, nice, buddy. That's awesome. Now scoot over. He goes, no, this is my spot now.
Holy crap.
I was like, okay, well, Daddy's tired and I want to go to sleep. So you got to go to your own bed. He goes, no, Daddy, I'm taking over the world.
Brita's downstairs playing on the piano. She's like, "There's one of the C's is dead. It's like it's not playing." Charlie's like, "Piano chord?" You're like, oh, MySpace now, Daddy.
Anyway, lots of fun times. Things have been really good. I mean, things have been really good this last week. Obviously, you can tell I don't have the nasal congestion and the blah that I had last week. I am feeling better. I don't feel 100%, but still just a little touch, but a lot better than it was last week. I listened back as I edited the podcast last week.
As did I.
Man, I was like, yikes, what was I on? What was I doing? I literally, here's something you'll find funny. As I edited the podcast, it was like I was listening to something for the first time. I had no recollection of about the last, the second half of last week's podcast. So I came upstairs and Brita said, how was it? I was like, it was good. And she's like, what did you talk about? And then I said, I don't know what I talked about. And that was after I got off the call with you. So
was that the NyQuil talking?
Yes, definitely the NyQuil. Yeah. So anyway, cool. What do you say? Should we move on to the old Rebel Intelligence?
Let's get to it.
I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Steve, my favorite part of the podcast and yours, Rebel Intelligence. What do you have for us this week?
So I thought this would be a little bit of bittersweet for you, a little bit of salt in the wound, as it were. But yeah. So I don't know if you've heard, but Star Trek Discovery has just been slated.
Wait. Or as we call it, Star Trek STD?
Oh, that's right. Right. STD is back with a vengeance. Will return for a second season.
Man, you got to get some penicillin to knock that out.
Right? Get some antibiotics. So it was very, it was obviously up in the air. You had your very, very strong opinions that you voiced, some months ago as to, how this would fare, being that this is going to be behind CBS's digital all access service, subscription based. And, I guess the good news for those that like it is that it's turned out to be a huge success so far. So they've already slated it for a second season. The president of CBS that was in charge of this particular operation, the chief operating officer, Mark DeBovius, said that, just 6 episodes in and, it's been driven by subscriber growth, critical acclaim, huge fan base, and they're very pleased to announce a second season. So
here's my thing though. Okay, I don't hate the idea of the show. I hate the idea of the business model. I really do.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing. If it's only 6 episodes in, usually something's got to be a big, massive success. And the thing is, I'm not hearing a lot of people talking about the show.
That's the thing. Neither am I. So
my question is it that big of a success, or have just enough subscribers to their CBS All Access gone up enough that, if, I don't know, whatever, let's say they had 10,000 subscribers and all of a sudden that doubled to 20,000. They're like, hey, that's 20,000 people now that are paying $10 a month. Do they view, what's their metric of success? Because typically, on TV, it's the number of, the average number of viewers, because that's eyeballs on something. So ad revenue, but that's just what I don't get. I'm not hearing people talking about it.
Here is my take. I think it's more sinister than that. I do not believe that this is entirely accurate. And what I really believe this is somewhat of a Potemkin village. I believe that the studio is propping up this series to, I think, embolden more people to join their all access and to, I don't know. I haven't heard many people talk about it as well. I think 6 episodes in is pretty quick, pretty premature to kind of suddenly put all the eggs in that basket and say, we're going to extend it for another 3 years, 3 seasons or whatever. I don't know. It just seems a little fishy to me. Seems like something seems like some Romulans are kind of, messing with things. I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. Don't get me wrong. I want it to be good. I want the show to succeed. The whole thing and the way it is. Anyway. Okay. Let's move on, because I don't want to get all bent out of shape right out of the gate. So let me ask you a question.
Are you going to start with an obituary? I'm just kidding.
No. Do you remember the movie in the 90s, 1993 to be exact, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Last Action Hero?
Yeah. Is that the one where he's half in the movie and half out and
right, and he gets a special movie ticket, or a kid does, and
he goes into the movie.
Goes into the movie world.
Yep.
Do you remember how well that movie did?
I can't imagine it did. It probably did as well as Kindergarten Cop, maybe?
Oh, no. Kindergarten Cop actually was a hit. That was actually a funny, good movie. Last Action Hero was a bomb. A huge, huge bomb. And the funny thing is Arnold Schwarzenegger has now come out and he's blaming the reason why the movie didn't do as well on none other than President Bill Clinton.
What?
And at first I read that and I was like, that doesn't make much sense. And so I asked President Clinton what he thought of this. He says, well, Well, I tell you what. I mean, I like the movies, and I like to eat the popcorn at the movies, and I like that Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a good guy, and I really like the movie. Hillary and Chelsea and I we watched it, and I thought it was great. I don't know why he's blaming me for that, but whatever. Thanks, Mr. President. I appreciate that.
That was a call-in. That was a call-in.
Yeah. President Clinton's a loyal super friend of the show, so he wanted to come in and talk about that. So here's the thing, though, Bill Clinton aside, Schwarzenegger is blaming Bill Clinton and the kind of that era in the 90s about like how movies weren't big, like the big action movies that are like, remember in the 80s, you got like the Rambos and the Terminators, and just like these movies that were like just action movies. Like,
yeah,
it was a guy and he was fighting something and there's lots of explosions. And that kind of movie was kind of tapering down. Like we started getting into other stuff. And even today, like we don't get like big blockbuster action movies where it's like one guy against the world. It's more like the superhero movies now. So here's the thing. So he was saying like the Clinton era and the 90s, and movies were becoming more highbrow and more, like meta, and it just that kind of thing was falling off. And so that's why he blames the kind of the Bill Clinton era and what was going on, the changes in pop culture, Okay, the movie wasn't great, but here's the real thing, okay? And I did a little research. Do you know what movie opened up the weekend before Last Action Hero?
Something having to do with the Clintons? I don't
know.
No.
Jurassic Park.
Oh,
Jurassic Park opened the week before.
Should have blamed Spielberg.
That was like one of the biggest box office successes
of the decade.
if not one of the largest, and spawned a huge franchise. But I love that Arnold Schwarzenegger is blaming the Bill Clinton decade and kind of the Clinton and like the change in pop culture. It's like, no. Jurassic Park and Steven Spielberg just trounced you. That's all that is.
Yeah, you got beat up by a velociraptor and your crap handed to you.
Right?
That's
anyway,
awesome. And the other thing really is funny. Like, who cares? Like, who's going back like 20 years to be like, by the way, remember that one movie that I did that really stunk?
I tell you, it should have been better.
I'm just saying he's had enough like successes that, I don't know. It's like Michael Jordan in the Hall of Fame being like, man, I was best you, and I wanted to be you, and I want to be you. Like, no need to go back, man. You've done your success. You've done it.
You've climbed the mountain. You've been to the mountaintop.
That's right. That's right. So, very interesting. So one thing that staying up in the stars on my. Oh, and by the way, do you remember what the female, not lead, but the female. Maybe it was the lead. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter in the movie Last Action Hero.
Yes, it's
the only good part of that movie.
It's Brigitte Nielsen.
That Veronica Vaughn is so
yes.
Bridget
so
Wilson.
hot. Bridget Wilson. There you go.
Yep. So she was the shining part of that movie. So I wanted to talk about. We talked about it a few weeks ago when we reviewed the latest trailer for The Last Jedi. We talked about some of the, hot potato mess that the pinning down a director for these Star Wars films have been, and they've kind of played musical chairs. So a long time ago, David Fincher was kind of in the running to direct The Force Awakens. We obviously know that job went to J.J. Abrams. But what was interesting about that, an article that I read recently, was that he actually wanted to avoid any association with the Star Wars franchise because... And I think I even talked about this when we talked about who, might be a director and who might, opt out or whatever. I think I'd made this point, was that he says this: I can't imagine the kind of intestinal fortitude one has to have. It's a whole nother level. One would have to endure the withering abuse of Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher, and the other is you have to live up to billions and 1,000,000,005 fans. And that becomes its own kind of pressure. So it was really an issue that he, there's so much riding on that, right? There
wasn't man enough for the job.
I mean, his lightsaber was a little weak, if you know what I mean. But yeah, he basically said, to commit to 2 years of your life, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, and to have that much pressure with that kind of franchise, which he's not, he's not a stranger to large franchises. He's done the War of the Worlds, sequels. He's done some big budget films with Brad Pitt and others, but interesting that he was like, you know what? I'm going to opt out on that one. I'm going to opt out. Which you'd think, any director would be like, oh, Star Wars, I want to do that, but not so.
Like the thing is, like, I don't know if David Fincher would be a good call for a Star Wars film, because like he's done like kind of more like the not even independent, but like the more kind of like I don't know, like he has like a certain like film noir style about him that he likes to use. Like, he did the movie Seven and Fight Club and Panic Room and like the Zodiac,
right? And
Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Social Network. Like they all have like this kind of like look or feel about them. And I don't know if that would have been a right feel for a Star Wars movie, to be perfectly honest. But
what do you think about the line that one would have to endure the withering abuse of Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher, who obviously I think when he said this, she was still with us.
I don't blame him for that. I mean,
you think they have their certain ways of how they think these things should be directed?
Listen, let's be honest. Harrison Ford is an old curmudgeon. He is not, and I don't think he ever has been. He's not the most lovable guy. He's not probably the easiest guy to get along with. Now his characters, Indiana Jones and Han Solo's, look like, characters, guys you'd want to hang out with. But Harrison Ford in real life, he doesn't come across that way, at least not in interviews. It's almost like he has a disdain for like the media and for like the whole Hollywood process. But like, I remember someone asked him one time, they're like, why, if you don't like this kind of stuff, why would you come back and do it? And he's like, because they pay me. And like, that was just his response. Like, it's basically like, I do this because it's money and because they give me lots and lots of money. So
that's a pretty good answer. No, I actually watched an interview. It wasn't an interview. He was an interview where he was on Fallon maybe 3-4 years ago. And this is the episode or the show where he persuades Jimmy Fallon to get his ears pierced on like live TV. Right. And so Harrison Ford actually did the piercing. He put like a big feather in Jimmy Fallon's ear with this huge like needle. And I will say that, my perception of it was spot on with what yours was. He was extremely unpersonable. And not to say that he's an unpersonable person, but maybe he's just, he really seemed to have a disdain for even being there. Like he was very disinterested, very unengaged or disengaged with the whole conversation. I mean, I was interesting. Very, very interesting. So.
Yeah. And good to know. Like I said, I'm okay with David Fincher not doing it.
Yep.
But I don't blame him also for not taking it on. I really don't. So anyway, moving on. I've brought this up a few times because I loved this movie as a kid, and the fact that it's coming back and it's going to be on YouTube as one of their original shows on the YouTube Red. Anytime I see something about this, like I just want to talk about it. The Karate Kid direct to YouTube sequel. The show is going to be called Cobra Kai, and basically it's what they're going to be doing. And they've Entertainment Weekly released a bunch of released a bunch of information saying basically this is what's happening. We're going to have William Zabka, who's obviously playing Johnny again, and he's going to basically be running a dojo. And he's kind of like a down and out loser, just trying to scrape together a living. And Ed Asner, yes, Ed Asner is going to be playing Johnny's disapproving stepfather, who's like a former studio executive. So like he's got a son that's going to be on the show who's like trying not to be like his dad and like not make the same mistakes. There's going to be some kid, named Miguel, who's going to be like a young high school kid who's struggling with being bullied and trying to learn karate with Johnny and the Cobra Kai. And then of course, like Daniel LaRusso's character, Ralph Macchio's character, Daniel LaRusso, is going to like own a successful car dealership with his wife. And I mean, if that
This
car
sounds like
dealership,
the crappiest show I've ever seen.
if that car dealership's not called like Crane Kick Auto, I think they're missing the mark.
No, it should be like Miyagi Motors or something.
Miyagi Motors. That's awesome. And then when they sign someone for a car, live or die, man, live or die.
I just want a car loan, man.
Wrong answer. Honk.
But they honk the horn instead of their nose.
Yes.
Like it. Yes.
Oh man.
You should call the showrunners and be like, I got an idea for you guys.
Yeah. Anyway, this looks like it's going to be a hot mess, and it's going to be on YouTube Red. And here's the thing. I would watch this show because it's going to be a hot mess. I would watch this show just to see what's going on, except it's going to be on YouTube Red, which means a subscription, which means if I'm not doing it for Star Trek, I ain't doing it for Cobra Kai, the college years.
The college. Well, Ed Asner, I think, I know he's been in tons of different stuff. Isn't he more of a comedic?
Yep.
I mean, a lot of his roles have been more comedic. And I think when we talked about this originally when this was kind of released, that this was going to be more of like a sitcom-y kind of
Yep. It's going to be a
show,
comedy,
right?
a half-hour comedy. Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Here's the thing.
Hot mess.
And they've talked. They've got like some woman to play, Daniel LaRusso's wife. I was like, why don't they just go get Elizabeth Shue?
She's not doing anything?
Even if she's not doing anything, like Elizabeth Shue. Because in my mind, how that story should have ended was him riding off into the sunset with Elizabeth Shue at the end of those movies. Like, they figure a way to work it out. I mean, I tell you, I had such a crush on her as a kid. She was so pretty in that movie. Oh. And of course, when that movie came out, I was a kid, and, she was a hot blonde girl from California, and I was
going
like,
to say, your first grade teacher was, you had a crush on her too, so come on.
Right. Mr. Lucis? What?
Yeesh.
That's third grade. Anyway.
Oh, cheerio.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know, Steve, you're not a Walking Dead guy, are you?
I'm not.
I know The Walking Dead's back on TV, and I know that's big news for a lot of people. It's the 8th season. It just started, and I think they're like maybe an episode or maybe even 2 episodes in now. Like, Breed and I watched all the way up through the beginning, like the first 2 episodes of season 7, and I don't know the start of season 7 was pretty brutal. It was hard to watch.
Yeah.
And then we watched like one more, and there was something inside of me that like broke, I think. I was just like, with the show at least, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch anymore. And like, we just kind of got behind, and we still have them on the DVR. They're still sitting there waiting for us to either watch them or delete them. But it was just something that, I don't know. I just felt like my drive and desire to watch the show was done.
And why was that? Why was that?
Well, I mean, there was a pretty gruesome death of one of the main characters at the start of the 7th season. Now, they've killed off other characters before, but like they were introducing a big villain into the show, and the manner in which they killed off one of the characters was pretty gruesome, pretty brutal. And even though I know people have said like, not every episode after that it's like that, they things get a little bit better. It's not as crazy. It was just crazy enough and just graphic enough that I don't know. There was just something inside of me that was like, maybe I'm done. Maybe that was too far. And it's one of these things where like, I know the loyal fans are going to be watching this new season, but I feel like I used to hear about The Walking Dead a whole lot more, and I'm not hearing about it as much anymore. And I think that was a moment a lot of fans, maybe not like hardcore fans that would watch it no matter what, but a lot of just kind of general fans turned it off and just tuned it out.
So you're thinking like the lukewarm fans, you just kind of pushed the envelope a little too far in order to kind of have the shock value, and it was just unappealing?
I think so. I would say Breed and I had been hardcore fans. I mean, we'd never missed one. We'd seen them all, but just, I don't know, something Something felt too far.
What was so brutal about it? I don't understand, because the
So
show is pretty graphic and brutal already.
it is pretty graphic and brutal, but this wasn't like a zombie on human attack. This was a human on human. And basically he has a whole bunch of the main characters on their knees like all night long, basically like in a line, like a firing squad, and they're kind of being held captives. And he is like interrogating them and asking them, and he has a baseball bat wrapped with barbed wire. And finally, he decides who he's going to kill to set an example. And he bashes this individual's head in. And of course, like the makeup and whatever, like looks really good because it looks realistic. But like he starts cracking him so many times in the head. And like you see like a point of view from the camera and you see blood kind of coming down over the camera. And then you see, obviously it's a prosthetic. It's not the real actor, Stephen Yeun. He's fine. But like you see like an eyeball kind of like pop out of the eye because the head's being caved in so much. And it was just gory and graphic and just rough. And this was a well-beloved character too. Like one of like the probably most beloved characters on the show. And that didn't hurt me as much, but it was just the way in which it happened. And I felt like it was just for shock value's sake.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it just, So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go back, to be honest. But season 8 started, and that's a thing, and, you know, I know a lot of people are excited about it. I just, I don't know. I may be done.
All right, well, you know, there have been certain times in certain shows when that's happened for us. I remember, and not to the extent of the barbed wire bat incident, but, you know, 24, I think it was 5 or 6 episodes in when Jack Bauer was in a Chinese prison, and the first episode of the season opens up where somebody comes in and he like, you know, riles up with his beard and all the rest, and his hands cuffed behind his back and rips out a guy's jugular with his teeth. My wife's like, I think I'm done.
Right. Yeah.
So
the other thing that happens, and this happens actually on Friday when I'm in Chicago, is a Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch releases. And this is the big Mario game that's coming out on the Switch. I think this thing is going to sell millions of copies. I'm super excited. This is a game like anyone can play, whether you're an adult or whether you're a kid, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to have it, since we're going to be out there. I'd have to like see if I can find a copy out there, because I was thinking about bringing my Switch so I could show your kids Nintendo Switch. And I may still bring it, but like, man, it would be awesome if I could locate a copy of Mario while I'm out there. But I don't know if there's going to be any for sale, man. That game's it's going to go like hotcakes. I'm telling you.
Hotcakes.
Ooh, so hot.
And cakey.
And cakey. Anyway, that's all I got. Do you got anything else? You tapped out?
I'm done. I am tapped out.
Done, and done.
D-O-N done.
D-O-N done in the house of Fawn, F-O-N.
That's right. D-O-N, F-O-N.
Yes. Steve, last week we had a conversation, which apparently I didn't remember as we talked, but we did ask 2 questions.
I'm glad that we recorded at least so you could go back and remember what was talked about.
What did we talk about?
That's why we record these things, Spencer.
Right.
We don't have to.
No, last week we talked about movie trailers. We talked about Black Panther, The Last Jedi, and Stranger Things Season 2. And so we asked some questions. We said, like, you know, what are you excited to see? You know, what do you want to watch? And so let's go over to the old email first. We'll start with our friend Peter Christensen. It says, Dear nerds, the sequel to Beetlejuice has better be called Beetlejuicier.
Ooh.
Beetlejuicier, the moist edition, or something like that.
Gosh. Miyagi Motors. We like 'em moist.
Motors. He says, I've purposely not watched the trailers for Last Jedi or Stranger Things. I really love the experience of watching the first ones without really knowing what to expect other than a darn good show. I did watch the trailer for Black Panther because A, Chadwick Boseman is the boss, go see Marshall in 42, and B, Marvel movies are very consistent quality, so it's just seeing what kind of flavor is on this installment of their winning formula. Of the 3, I'm probably most excited about Black Panther because Marvel movies have been a big event in our household for years. Our oldest daughter is taking Friends to Thor Ragnarok for her birthday. I expect all 3 to be great. He says, for your anniversary, which was our kind of second question, says, you should both drink NyQuil and NOS energy drinks 15 minutes before starting to record. Either that or release a video episode where you're both recording in cosplay. Cheers, Peter.
Jessica Rabbit, here you come.
So so that's the question, Steve. I mean, what do you think of those ideas? The idea of like drinking NyQuil or NOS energy drinks right before we record, or dressing up in cosplay to record?
Well, here's the question. Here's the real question. Why does it have to be or?
We can do both.
It's getting cray-cray in here.
Okay. Let's move over to Twitter. Skinny Matt Boo at Skinny Matt K. Basically,
What's up, Matt?
He sent us a picture of Matt, the radar technician from the SNL skit where he's Kylo Ren, giving him the thumbs up. So he's definitely on board with The Last Jedi.
That's awesome.
Nathan
Come
Thomas.
on, Matt. I want to go get my muffin from the cafeteria. I'm sorry.
Right. Nathan Thomas, our friend at Voiced by Nathan, who we had the opportunity to be on his podcast, That's Entertaining.
Yes, very fun.
He says The Last Jedi, and he sent me a little GIF of Rey, of Rey training with the lightsaber, and it does show the rocks, and I don't think it looks like Yoda. Just saying. GIF. So the other question was, what do you think we should do to celebrate for our year anniversary? And we got some responses as well, because we want to do something unique or different or make it exciting. So Nathan Thomas at Voiced by Nathan again says, bake cookies and mail them out to listeners. I'll take Snickerdoodle.
Ooh, I do like a good Snickerdoodle. Crunch on the outside, soft and moist on the inside. Miyagi moist.
Beetlejuicier.
It's like the Die Harder, isn't that like the second sequel? Like Die Harder?
Die Harder-est with a vengeance.
Beetlejuiciest.
This is getting out of hand, Seth Roy at Seth Joseph Roy seconds the idea of Snickerdoodles cookies. And Kevin Austin at PSVG Kevin says he would also take a Snickerdoodles cookie.
You send some addresses, you guys, and I will bake you some cookies. Done.
Wow.
It's been put out there. It's been put out there.
Okay. You guys heard this. Steve is saying he will personally bake cookies and mail them out if you send addresses. So here's the deal. You have to email them to us at fortivenerd@gmail.com. Because I don't want you putting your address on Twitter or Facebook.
That is correct. And you then have to put a comment on iTunes.
Okay. Okay. So, Steve, here we go.
Okay.
This is the deal. This is one thing we'll do, I guess, apparently. For our year anniversary, you email us your address and write us a review on iTunes, and Steve will send you the
cookies of your choice.
Man, come on now.
No,
you could be making lots of cookies.
You're going to be here this weekend. We'll get the aprons on. You get to wear the Kiss the Cook apron, and we'll get to that, and we'll have a gay old time.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here, Steve. I am anxiously going to watch that inbox and see how many we get.
This will be awesome. This will be a lot of fun. And maybe I'll drop some NyQuil in there too. We'll all have fun together.
Now you're talking about poisoning people.
Inbox 0.
Yes, exactly.
It was called hedging my bet.
We're not going to get a single one. John at Sir
I'm a
John,
good baker, by the way. Just saying. Go.
Yes. John at Sir John 11 says, a giveaway, please. Because who doesn't like free stuff, right?
Like cookies. That's
right. Cookies laced with NyQuil, apparently.
What's your favorite cookie, Spencer? What's your favorite cookie?
I'm a classic guy. Chocolate chip.
Chocolate chip? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like a double chocolate sometimes,
Ooh, a chocolate cookie with chocolate chip?
Yeah, like the chocolate with the chocolate. Or, it's kind of the season. 'Tis the season. We just had a really good pumpkin chocolate chip cookie tonight from our bishop's wife. Extremely good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Our last email on the question from our friend Paul Calicote at pcalico84. He says,
What up, PC?
He says, do you all have buttons? If not, make some buttons and send them out.
Button. Who's got the button?
Buttons. You know what, Steve? If I'm a gambling man, which I am, I'm going to say that Paul Calicote probably also sent me another Twitter with a response to a former question.
He's like, I liked What About Barb too?
No, here we go. Episode number 10. Netflix recommendations. Train to Busan, Voltron, and Transformers Prime. So apparently we must have asked for Netflix recommendations.
Okay. What was the first one?
Train to Busan, Busan.
Okay.
I have no clue what that is, but I will take a look at it and see what it is, though, for our friend Paul Calico.
Is Paul the last one?
Yeah, that was the last one.
So I wanted to say really quick. So, we talk about your responses. We love your responses. We freaking love your responses. We get Twitter. We get, emails, long form, short form, doesn't matter. Love them. And I just want you to know, we want you to know that we take your comments. I've used the comments that Eric Salway and others had given us, Peter and others had given us from our conversation about when is too soon with regard to children and cell phones. And then last week, yeah, right. That's I thought we'd get more views on that one. And then, secondly, when we had the conversation with Ed Placencia with regard to favorite comedians, I went and looked up some of the ones, and I actually fell upon Mike Birbiglia, which I have seen before. But I spent like an hour after the podcast just watching a bunch of his clips and stuff. And there is a great clip when he's like, I always make things more awkward, and he's like, I just do that. And like, for instance, the other day I was at my friend's apartment and I was helping him move in, and we were carrying this big mattress into off the truck and getting into this apartment, and this nice woman who obviously lives in the building comes and she looks at us and she opens the door with a key and she holds it open for us, and she's like, well, I figured it was okay because no rapist would be bringing a bed into the apartment or whatever. Right. And he's like, what I should have said was nothing. What I said was, you can never be too sure. and he's like, you can't really walk away from that. You can be like, or whatever, see you around the building. Anyway, it was just just funny. And anyway, good. Thanks for the recommendations, guys. We love them. Keep them coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I want to say it is one of my favorite parts of the podcast is the interaction and being able to hear things, because like you said, we've had some interesting comments and questions and things that I've gone and looked up and like been interested in now, and things that I'm going to continue to do based on your recommendations, Super Friends.
Yeah.
So Steve, our Super Friends are recommending things to us and answering questions, and we love it. We want more Super Friends so that they can interact with us and give us recommendations. How can our Super Friends help us out?
I think that they can rate us on iTunes, so the Fortress of Nerditude is easier to find than Miyagi Motors is on Google Maps.
Right.
But look it up, because there might be one out there. Who knows?
There is
in Chinatown.
There is going to be one somewhere.
I want to look it up right now.
Nice. Well, Steve, it's that time of year again, and it's one of my family's favorite times of year, which is Halloween. Our boys have been talking about Halloween for probably like the last 4 months. They keep saying like, when's it gonna be Halloween? When can we trick or treat? And I don't know about you. Are your kids excited for Halloween? Or are they like all the Halloween fever?
Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know what it is. They are more excited for Halloween than they are for Christmas, for birthdays, Arbor Day, Boxing Day in Canada. I mean,
is it the candy?
Love Halloween.
Is it the candy? They know they're going to get candy?
They love the candy, but they also love just kind of the ghouly-ish kind of, haunted kind of.
Because I'll tell you, I remember last year. I remember last year Addison had like hoarded M&Ms that he'd gotten at some sort of like Halloween party or something. And when I was out there visiting for the World Series, he's like, "Here, I got these for you." And like he like gave me some of his M&Ms from his own personal stash.
Oh.
And so
well,
I'm expecting that again, Addison. Don't let me down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, they're totally looking forward to it. We, like I said, we've been talking about Halloween costumes, and we've been working on those because
what are your kids going to go as?
So Lila Grace is going to be a little cat. She's always playing like kitty and stuff, and so she's been practicing all week. Like she'll pick me up from work or whatever, and we'll be driving home, and she'll be like, she's like, "I don't know where that purring's coming from," so she's like practicing her purring.
Okay,
and
nice.
She's got little ears, little tail, little black suit. She's cute. Alana is going to be a vampire, so she's got like the gloves, the netting gloves, and the big red and black cape, and the fangs and all that. So she looks cute.
Kind of the traditional Dracula look.
The traditional with a little bit of a stylistic flair, we'll say.
Okay, yeah.
Addison is still undecided. So he's still got a big question mark. He's gone back and forth. He was going to be Harry Potter, and then he was going to be a zombie, and he's just kind of waffling. So we've got to kind of pin him down, or else he's going to be like, the Acme hobo. That's just like, hey, here's an old flannel shirt and some dirt on your face.
Because here's the thing: if he can't decide, there's no wrong costume. Tell him to go as both. Have him be a zombie Harry Potter.
Oh, well, I actually found one online that it was kind of a Pinterest, I think my wife found, which was where you get this oversized jacket. You fill it with a grocery bag, so it's got the bulk, but doesn't have the weight. And then you get a big clear plastic jug that you would get from like those cheese balls come in, and you cut a thing out, and you put your head into it, and then you fill the top part, so it looks like you're walking around as a headless guy with a head in this jar. It looks so cool. And then you attach the hands, like these fake arms to the jar. And he was like, "Yeah, I don't want to do that." I'm like, "Dang it! I thought it would be so funny." It was right up his alley and personality, but so. We're getting there, and then Carter is going to be Dumbledore, and so we are in the process of making him a big robe and this elaborate thing and all the rest. And I've got to find him a wand. Dang it!
Don't get him the Cookie Crisp wand.
What?
There's an episode of Community where Chevy Chase's character is like, "I've become a 5th Laser Lotus level, wizard in my, church." And it's like this cult he's in. And so, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they send a package over. Let me go get that." And someone goes and they run down to like the drama department, and they bring him back like a robe with like a hat and like a chocolate chip cookie on a wand. And so he looks like the Cookie Crisp wizard. Anyway, I always think of that.
Oh, that's a great show. I love that show.
Yeah, anyway.
So what are your kids going to be?
So my boys are going as Mario and Luigi from Super Mario Brothers.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, I know. They're in a little game that was like the best-selling game of all time.
Classic.
They've got the I was gonna say suspenders. That's not right. The overalls. They got Gene overalls, and Charlie's Mario, so he's got the red shirt, and Jackson's got the green shirt, and they've got little Mario and Luigi hats, and they've got white gloves, and then they've got mustaches. Like we went to like Target and found like these like realistic looking mustaches that like just kind of stick on, kind of like with a kind of a gummy sticky surface that goes underneath their nose. And it's like we went to this little like kind of church Cub Scout like Halloween carnival thing a week ago, and they wore those things. Man, it was so funny watching them like walking around with those little mustaches. They're 3.5 and like almost 5, and then they were trying to eat like cupcakes, and they were getting like frosting in the mustache. So,
they actually have like real like hair follicles, like real. I mean, it's not just like a piece of felt, is it?
No, it's not just a piece of felt. It has like some kind of like synthetic hair follicles. So it looks like real.
Taken from a real man's mustache. You're like, yeesh.
Yeah, it looks and feels a little more like a piece of carpet than anything. But
piece of shag.
Right. You gotta comb the shag mustache down, boys. So they're doing that now. Do you guys dress up as adults with your kids?
We do for our church Halloween party, which is this Friday. It's the Trunk or Treat Fall Festival. I'm the MC for. But they've been lackluster as of late. I mean, I have this afro that I wear every year. I just throw it out. I'm like, this is easy. So, I haven't put in the A for effort. I've gotten a C, maybe C minus for effort.
Last year we dressed up. We were all kind of a family theme. We did Peter Pan, and Brita kind of went as Peter Pan, and Jackson was Captain Hook, and Charlie was Jake from Jake and the Neverland Pirates, and I was Mr. Smee.
Oh, I remember that. Your pictures from Disneyland.
Yeah. This year, though, Charlie and Jackson, they wanted to be Mario and Luigi, but they wanted Brita to be Princess Peach, and they wanted
to be Bowser.
That's what they wanted me to be, was Bowser.
Of course.
And I was like, how am
typecasting?
I got to get a dragon head thing and a big shell, and we kind of looked into it. Dude, it was going to cost big money for me to be Bowser.
Dude, you get a saucer sled, paint it black, and put some cones on it. On the back. Easy for cheesy.
Here's the thing, though. I don't want to look like a crap costume, So it's if I'm going to do
you have such a highbrow.
I'm saying, if I'm going to get dressed up in a costume to go out, I want to look good, man. I want people to be like, look at that guy. And remember me, not who is that guy that was wearing a trash bag on his body with some cones attached to the back,
Saucer sled, not trash bag, but yes,
whatever. It's all the same thing. It's just garbage that you've glued together.
Oh, so that's always the challenge, right? It's always the challenge of either you go out and you buy a $40 outfit that you're going to wear one time.
Right.
Or you try to use whatever household goods you have to piece together some kind of close representation of whoever you're trying to be, right?
Right.
So right now, we've gone through, 2 sets of old curtains that we took down from the previous owner and made Carter's Gandalf robe.
Uh-huh.
It's close.
Do you remember when you were in college when you went as the Crow, and you had black jeans, a black shirt, and you just took electrical tape and taped around your forearms and your hands and
Yes, I do.
That was your Crow outfit? I remember that.
Yes, I do. Didn't you go as Bruce Willis?
I went as Bruce Willis from Moonlighting.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody knew that reference, being that you're an old soul, and they're Moonlighting. What the crap is that?
But I mean, at the time, my hair was
Sybil
thinning.
Shepherd? No, nobody.
Yeah, my hair was thinning, so I just wore a shirt with a really skinny tie and kind of a sport coat and jeans that I pegged, and yeah. I should find that picture somewhere.
Oh, I have that picture somewhere.
Do you?
I'm sure I do. All I remember is that electrical tape was a little tighter than I thought, and by the end of the night, my fingers were purple. I'm like, my pinky just fell off. Is that normal? Well, that's leprosy for you.
What was your favorite costume you ever went as a child? Do you remember?
Favorite costume. You know what? I would say my favorite not that it was the best, but my favorite costume, just because it had just all of the childhood innocence and homemadeness that only a mother could love, was Superman. I went as Superman.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember I had this pair of brief underwear that were red with a yellow band.
Was it the Underoos?
I think so. And I wore them on the outside. The only time in my life I think I've worn underwear on the outside of my pants.
Intentionally, you mean?
When I was in some of NyQuil-induced stupor.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I had a Superman shirt on with long underwear, and my mom just stuffed the crud out of that thing with rags or bags or something.
You mean the shirt, not the underwear, right?
I'll be your Lois Lane. Yes, the shirt.
Okay.
Monkey. Tubes?
I mean, you left it a little vague. I had to take this shot.
Yeah, take it. It was set up like a T on a T-ball stand.
Don't you really put a baseball on a T-ball stand? Not a T.
Look, man. Anyway, so that was my favorite costume, and I had a little hair slicked with a little curl in front and on my head, and it was great.
You know,
it was good times.
I look
What was
back
yours?
and my favorite costume, which is almost, it's more ridiculous than your stuffed sock Superman costume. But
You have to be anatomically correct.
This was definitely in the 80s. The person I went at was a huge superstar at the time.
No.
And granted, I am also white. But,
what?
The
lid's blown
spoiler.
open for our listeners.
My mom made me a Michael Jackson outfit, and not only did I go as Michael Jackson that year, but my brother Josh also went as Michael Jackson that year.
He was like a mini-me.
We had the black slacks with the penny loafer shoes and the white socks. We had like a red shirt on and a red jacket and like a yellow sash with the sunglasses that were like the red plastic outline sunglasses, and they were dark lenses. And then we had, of course, the white sequined glove on our one hand, on our left hand. And then our hair was like slicked down and kind of like slicked down with a bunch of gel.
Some Jerry curl.
We went as Michael Jackson that year. Both of us, not just one of us. Both of us went as Michael Jackson that year. And like I look back at that and like that's my favorite outfit because it's just it was fun and I really loved it at the time because I honestly wanted to be Michael Jackson.
Who didn't?
But like looking back at that, it's like it's a white kid. Why did my mom let me do that? It's just like it just seems.
But
so
no. This was
goofy.
homemade. I assume this was not bought. This was.
Oh no.
This was just like, hey, we got some penny loafers, we got some white socks. Borrow your sister's gloves from her ballet concert and recital, and let's go.
Yeah, my mom made those costumes. Andre, I don't think was born yet, or maybe she was like barely an infant. But like, no, I remember mom like sequining the gloves and like with a hot glue gun, and she made it all. Like, she went to effort. Now that was like a big effort, but like. It was like that, like the next year, like two years later, maybe, my mom made us all go as Crayola crayons. Ooh. And she just took a bunch of felt and like basically like made a big tube and cut out armholes and then like cut out like black felt around it and like the Crayola symbol and then made us like a felt like cone hat and then you wore like the colored t-shirt underneath and we walked around as crayons. And
you always have to be careful though because certain costumes don't make it easy to obtain candy, right? Like you got this big old tube walking around, everybody's like, "See you later, Stapleton," and you're like, "Wait up, guys! Hey, wait up!" And you like trip and you start rolling down the hill, and then you lose your felt cone, and all heck breaks loose.
Right. What was your worst? What would you say is your worst costume that you went as?
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or not, but. Here it comes.
Which means like we're throwing our mothers under the bus.
Exactly.
That's who made the costume.
Like, man, mom, she works so hard in this. And first of all, my mom is amazing. Like she came over, she was over on Sunday helping Carrie with the Dumbledore costume. She just has a knack for it. She can just do it. She like sewed in these little things for Alana's cape so she can hook them into her fingers and like flap like a bat or whatever.
Yeah.
Amazing. She just knows how to do it. So I really wanted to go. So let me back up. So Michael Keaton's Batman. I must have watched that movie in the theater no less than 9 times. And we had this rental place right next door to some store that we would always go to. And I would always ask my mom to go and stop at this rental place because they would rent out, like pressure washers and rototillers and all this stuff. But they just happened to also rent out costumes.
Right.
It was called Easy Rentals right by Kmart when we were growing up. And they had this Batman suit that was like a full-on rubber cowled, muscular, underbody, whatever, with the full cape and everything. And I'm like, there was no way that I could have fit nor filled out this costume. But I was like, I want to rent that, Mom, for Halloween. It was like $200 to rent. She's like, no. She's like, no, we'll make one. We'll make it. We'll go home and make it. So, she tries to bless her heart. She will be listening to this, I know. So she made like this cowl that looked more like I don't know, like a bank robber, kind of like from like the 1920s, like with the kind of the billowy eye, the eye thing that looked like kind of like a squirrel, and I was chubby, and so I had like man boobs and a little muffin top, and so I had like this spandex black shirt that I fit into, and then she made me a little felt. It was always with the felt, right?
Yeah.
Felt was always the felt.
Always the felt.
So you get the yellow felt with the black bat. So we pin that to me between my large man breasts and
pecs.
and
Say
then
pecs. It makes you sound better.
pecs.
Pecs.
Okay.
Pectoral muscles.
And then at the end, she's like, I'm like, I need a utility belt, Mom. I need a utility belt. So she goes into her closet and she's like, let me see. Oh, here's just the thing. And she gets out like this, like 2-inch thick 1980s belt that she had from her, whatever, that had like this, it was metal, but it was like this, like scaled weird, I don't know, it was like a chainmail type thing. It was as close as one could get. That, bless her heart, she tried. But you can imagine this chubby muffin top with this, like, 80s woman's belt and this
Right.
1920s bank robber cowl, going to junior high, no less. It's like, hey, Madura, out in the parking lot after school. I'm like, I'll be there. Hey, right. I got 4:00. You got 3:30? Stovetop at 7, stovetop at 8?
Kids lining up to take shots at you.
Beat the crap. Hey, Batman, take this on for... Bam! I looked more like Ursula Kitt as Catwoman than I did as Batman. And like a washed up Ursula Kitt. So
that's awesome.
It did a lot. It did a lot for my body image. Let me tell you.
I think that same year we also, both Josh and I, went as Batman because
who didn't?
I remember like we had like a Batman T-shirt and we wore black jeans and Mom made us a felt cowl, like
Always
over the eyes.
Felt.
Although it wasn't the 1920s bank robber, but it was like a felt cape, and then we had like a cape that she like bought or something. There was like just a real cheap, flimsy cape. I'm pretty sure I've got pictures of that somewhere too, because I remember like wearing it to like some like church Christmas party or Halloween party or something. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
And I remember that year Ray Callender actually went as the Joker, and he looked really good. I was just like, my nemesis. I'm jealous.
Like, he actually looks like my nemesis. I look like the Pillsbury Doughboy fell into a vat of chocolate.
Tar Baby, Song of the South.
So let me ask you this. Like, I think Halloween has got like an amazing array of like different like costumes that people can choose from, right? Because it's pretty much cosplay. You can do whatever you want to do. But here's the thing that I think is lacking in the Halloween department. If there's one like area in which Halloween as a holiday lacks in this one more than any others. Music. Like Christmas has got all sorts of music. It's coming out of the yin yang. Easter's got music. Even New Year's Day's got a memorable song.
That's true.
How many Halloween themed songs can you think of?
Interesting that you say that, because as we were leaving Six Flags, you walk out and the front has that large pool, which during Fright Fest is covered in blood and smoke and all these things coming out of it. They had a pyrotechnic light show to Thriller.
Okay.
And you should have seen, I mean, everybody was out. They had all the creatures, all the actors that were out, and it would have been really cool if they did like a flash mob and they started dancing like the Thriller or whatever. But you should have seen everybody got out, and we were, everybody was just jamming. I'm like, this is kind of like the quintessential, at least for our generation, like
Halloween
quintessential
song,
Halloween song, right? And then you've got Vincent Price with a voiceover like,
the
ghoul is a stench of 1,000 years, like just fantastic.
The funk of 40,000 years.
1,000 years, yes.
And creatures call in search of blood
of the Thriller
to terrorize y'all's
neighborhood. So I would say that would be my vote if we are doing a little bit of a Christmas bash here, or a
Halloween spectacular.
Yes, I would say that Thriller would probably be a quintessential Halloween theme.
So I'd agree, but like I was thinking, like how many Halloween songs could I name? And Thriller was on that list. Monster Mash.
Monster Mash.
Like
yep,
that's
yep.
like that's the big one I always hear on the radio. Like I feel like there's like a Pandora station where all they do is play Monster Mash for like 24 hours on Halloween.
But it's funny because that's not really like, I guess it is, but that was really just like, oh no, the one that I always think that comes on when you put on like Monster Mash into like Pandora is Purple People Eater, I think. But it's not really. It's
not
like,
Halloween.
It's like a funny. Yeah, it's like a funny, quirky song from the '60s, but it's not a Halloween song just because it has to.
It is true. It does get played a lot at Halloween, but I agree. It's not a Halloween
like, this
song.
isn't a Halloween song.
The only other song I could think of that like really kind of feels like Halloweeny to me, not water weenie, but Halloweeny.
I was going to say.
Yeah. Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr. Right?
Oh,
who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters. Yeah. That's a Halloween song to me too. But like other than that, like that's it. I mean, I know there's like you could be like, oh, Sympathy for the Devil by Rolling Stones, or like you could be like, oh, Bark at the Moon by Ozzy Osbourne, or something like Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper. But like those feel like they have more to do with like death and like the occult, which I mean kind of fits into the Halloween. But as far as like if someone says Halloween music, I can only think of 3 songs. That's Ghostbusters, Thriller, and Monster Mash. But that's me.
Yeah. We have a Halloween CD that we actually play, during and it has a mix of songs, and then it has like, sound effects like
right,
all these different things. The kids love it. But yeah, it's an odd holiday that doesn't really have a theme song to it. So I say that we christen, for all intents and purposes, and let's make this official, I'll tweet President Trump to say that Thriller by Michael Jackson should become the official theme song of Halloween.
I'm down with that.
I'll send a petition around.
I mean, I could ask former President Bill Clinton what he thinks and see if
he's too busy ruining Last Action Hero.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can. Boop, 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 boop. Well, hello, Spencer. Is that you again? Yeah, Mr. Clinton, President Clinton. What do you think? Thriller? Should we make that the official song of Halloween? Well, I mean, Hillary and I and Chelsea, we just love that song. I mean, anytime it comes on, we get up and dance, and we love it. So yeah, I'm totally okay with that. Thanks, Mr. President. Appreciate it. Anytime. Well, I mean, there you heard it right there. I mean, we got President Clinton on board to join us.
Wow, that was that you could probably pass through some like Pentagon voice recognition systems with that. All you need is a fingerprint and maybe his pupil, and you'd be classified information galore.
Right.
Wow.
So yeah, we have a former president that's endorsing our quest to make Thriller the song of Halloween.
All right. Well, very good. Well, cool. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for Halloween. I'm excited to get the candy. And you know what happens a lot of times is, there are a lot of weak sauce. There's a lot of weakness out there. We find that some of the kids in our neighborhood, like they can stand the cold for a little bit, but then they wuss out and they go inside. I remember 2 years ago we were out and there was literally snow drifting across the road, and my kids were like, I'm like, you guys want to go in? They're like, heck no, we want the candy. Right. And so we would go to houses and like, nobody else is coming around, so here, just take it. One person gave us a whole Home Depot sized bucket full of full size Twix bars. My kids were like, jackpot.
Right. Every time I think of Halloween, I think of the Jerry Seinfeld bit where they're like, who's giving away candy? Everyone we know's giving away candy? What? Why? What's going on? We can get this.
What do we have to do?
Hey, what do we have to do? I'll do anything. I can wear that.
That's right, exactly.
Right.
Then you get that cheap plastic thing, which is a real quality piece when you're breathing through that little hole.
The thing's cutting your eyes. You can't see.
Like, the little rubber band snaps after the 3 seconds in.
We gotta go, gotta keep going, more candy. I love that bit.
Yeah, that's a great bit, and it's so true. Like my kids, after the few doors, and like, hey, what are you? What are you? This and that. After a while, they're like, just give me the candy. Like, the drill. Put it in.
I love the next morning like my kids don't understand it all the way. So like the next morning they get up, they go, "Daddy, can we go trick or treating and go get more candy today?" And I'm like, "We only get to do that once a year. Otherwise, it's creepy." But they're like, "Oh, I want to go door."
They call
the
police on you. Actually,
they asked to do like go trick or treating for like the next month every morning.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
It's awesome. So let me ask you this: like music, we know is lacking. There's lots of scary movies and TV shows though that are kind of like Halloween stuff. I mean, like, people have the like Christmas movies they watch every year before Christmas. What is a Halloween movie that you watch, or a Halloween TV show you watch every year prior to Halloween?
I wouldn't say there's one that we watch every. I mean, the Great Pumpkin, I would say is a classic, kind of a kids one. But I would say, more for me. Another one for kids is called Mr. Boogedy. It's a Disney movie way back in the day. It's kind of one of those cheesy, like Disney cheesy. Anyway, you should watch it. I started to watch it with my kids, and they were even spooked out. But it's a good show. But one I think this is a great underrated cult classic kind of movie, and it sounds very hardcore based on the title. It's called Drag Me Down to Hell.
What?
And I know it sounds really bad, but it's actually really funny. It actually stars, who is the guy that was in Dodgeball?
Ben Stiller.
No.
Vince Vaughn.
He's the other guy. Justin Long. Long.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So he plays the love interest of Alison Lohman, who's in the movie, and it's kind of this campy, over the top horror movie that's actually kind of funny as well as scary. It's a great movie. I watched it 2 nights before Halloween a few years ago with some buddies, and we were laughing so hard. So if you haven't seen it, it's PG-13, so it's not R, and it's by Sam Raimi. So
yeah.
It's Spider-Man fame. So.
Spider-Man, the oh gosh, I was gonna say Army of Darkness, and
exactly, and it has that kind of flavor to it. It's really
Evil
good.
Dead, yeah.
Yep.
See, I'm not a big scary guy, but like obviously, like the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown is like a staple in our household around Halloween. But then there's like other like kind of like spooky movies or like thriller movies like we used to watch, and like I'd say like The Sixth Sense is kind of a cool like movie to watch kind of around Halloween. I mean, it's not like necessarily based right around Halloween, but of course this year it's going to be Stranger Things season 2, and that's going to be my Halloween. Plus, they even show the kids like at Halloween time, like dressed up as the Ghostbusters, like going to the school, like on the Halloween day or whatever, when they're all dressed up.
Right.
I think that's so cool because like they understand like what their show is, and it's kind of going to be around that time, and so they're setting it anyway. I think that's going to be a big hit around the Halloween season this year, obviously. But there's tons of scary movies. Like I said, I'm not a horror guy, but there's horror movies. I mean, gosh, there's a horror movie called Halloween. Obviously,
that is true. That is Michael Myers, a fantastic movie by John Carpenter, one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best horror movies. If you want to watch a true horror movie that doesn't have to get really gory, is just classic, edge your seat, movie. Fantastic. Love
would you recommend for like Halloween, like the old like Boris Karloff, like Frankenstein or Dracula's, like that kind of old stuff? The Invisible Man.
Those are good, but I love to put a little humorous twist on those. And so one movie that I always loved to watch when I was a kid,
Young Frankenstein.
That is that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well. Yes, Young Frankenstein, fantastic. And it has a little bit of scare for the kids. Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein. But is Abbott and Costello meet the werewolf? Is it Meet Dracula, Meet Frankenstein? Anyway, Abbott and Costello. It's a great movie. They basically are trying to transport some of these coffins. They don't know they're coffins, and they meet Dracula, the Mummy, Wolfman, Frankenstein. Great movie.
Really?
Another kind of hidden gem was one from our childhood, which was called
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
No, that's a good one as well. Monster Squad.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that movie?
That's with Fred Savage, right?
No, that's Monster something else. Monster Squad, a little bit kind of like that, but this is one where a group of kids have to fend off, again, Frankenstein, Dracula, whatever, from taking over their town. And there's this one part where they're all into monster comics and all this stuff. They have a clubhouse, they have a secret gang, and there's this one scene where they're fighting them at the end, and this fat kid who is always kind of picked on and whatever, like he blows away with this like shotgun, like all of these bad guys and these bullies who were bullying him earlier, like, dude, fat kid's got the stuff or whatever. And then he goes and he kicks Wolfman right in the
nuts.
Privates. Yeah, and he's like, Wolfman's got balls, because they've been arguing about it the whole movie about if Wolfman does or does not. And turns out he does. So,
another movie that's probably like not a Halloween movie because it's based around Christmas, but actually probably would feel like a better Halloween movie, Gremlins.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, Gremlins would be like, I remember that movie. Like that wasn't, it wasn't like scary, but like it's, lizardy.
Gremlins is a great movie.
Kind of lizardy, alien-looking, demonic things that are born out of Gizmo.
Yep. That's a great. And these are movies where it's not
Mogwai.
That's awesome. Where they're not total horror. They're just kind of little spooky.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What about Treehouse of Horror? The Simpsons episode every year.
Oh, fantastic. In fact, I'm looking at some Simpsons box sets as we speak. Maybe we'll pop a few of those in.
Oh, yes.
Good times.
Yes. Anyway, I'm excited. I love Halloween. It's a fun time for us. Like, we get to dress up. We get to play with the kids more. Like, let them dress up and, interact. And, we kind of decorate the house a little bit. And the boys love carving pumpkins and, going that whole route. I got to say, like, Christmas is great, and like Christmas is interactive, and there's tons of stuff to do for Christmas. And Christmas, I actually like. There's like a real true meaning to that holiday that's more important than like the gifts and the presents. But just for pure fun factor alone, Halloween's got to be one of the bigger ones in our house, at least.
Oh yeah. Just being able to have fun and be somebody you're not. I think that's that's the same reason why people do cosplay at Comic-Con. It's just being able to dress up and be somebody you're not for a night or a day, and get candy to boot. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. I love it.
Let me ask you one last question.
Yeah.
Favorite candy bar. Go.
Oh, I'm a whatchamacallit guy. I love the whatchamacallit. Because here's the thing. I would have said in years past Snickers. I love a good Snickers. However, I became allergic to peanuts about a decade ago. And I can't eat peanuts anymore. So like Paydays and Snickers and like all that kind of stuff is just out for me. So there's a lot of candy bars that have peanuts in them or something along those lines, or candies that have peanuts in them. So whatchamacallit though, that's it's got the kind of the caramel and the chocolate and kind of that crisp rice. It's kind of like in a Rice Krispie, that candy bar. I don't remember what it's called, like a Crunch bar or whatever. So yeah, I like whatchamacallit. What about you? What's your favorite candy bar?
I love a good score bar. My son just brought home
you like to score?
I love those bars, man. I actually broke my tooth on a Heath bar.
Oh yeah,
back in the day, and because it was so bloody hard. But like the classic, just toffee and chocolate. It's a classic. That I don't get to have very often.
What's your favorite candy to take from your kids' Halloween bucket? Because there's a lot of different candies other than just like candy bars. Like, what's your favorite candy?
What candy is not my favorite? I think a classic candy theft is peanut M&Ms.
Gosh,
I love me some peanut M&Ms, man.
If I wasn't allergic nowadays, because that's my favorite candy of all time. Yeah, I would steal those like nobody's business. I like a good Tootsie Roll. Like if I see a Tootsie Roll, I'm like, I won't miss a single Tootsie Roll. I like that. I'll take.
You like Tootsie Rolls, huh?
As long as they're not like hard as a rock. Yeah,
I feel like
good.
Tootsie Rolls are like one step above like the circus peanuts that I use for doorstops. I'm like, Tootsie Rolls, man, might as well not.
I like a
don't
good
know.
Tootsie Roll. And they've got the flavored ones, which I never liked as kids, but like that lemon flavored one. Ooh.
Yeah,
that's good.
famous ones flavored ones are good. I like that, and they're usually softer than the old chocolate ones.
Yeah. But if you get a good soft Tootsie Roll, it's not like hard as a rock, like it's been sitting forever. That's good stuff. I tell you what.
Man alive.
I like actually going to Cracker Barrel, where you can get the Tootsie Roll, but it's like the big long bar, which got like kind of like the little perforated sections, so you could like kind of like bend it and split it and break it into sections.
Yeah.
But it's like a foot long, dude. I get one of those every single time we go there. I just gnaw on it like arr, arr.
The usual Mr. Stapleton? Yes.
I'll
the
take
usual.
2 tonight. I'm not driving.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, so Steve, let's wrap this up. We got Halloween coming. It's a lot of fun. I think our question for our super friends should be something along the lines of, what are your kids going for if you have kids for Halloween? Or what are you going for? Or what was your favorite Halloween costume you ever went as? Because I'm always interested to hear about the Halloween costumes and what people go as. So what are you going as? What are your kids going as? Or what's your favorite? I'll take any of the above this week.
Yeah, I mean, I would love, as part of that, I guess, to hear of we've obviously shared our best and our worst. If you have any fun stories that you want to share with us as well, we love to laugh.
Yes.
And it's often at our own expense, some self-deprecating humor. But if we can direct that humiliation towards someone else, it's always fun. Let the world laugh with you, or at you, or near you, whatever.
Whatever. It's all good, baby. It's laughter.
It's laughter. Laughter's laughter. So, all right, well, cool. Well, have a spooktastic time, all our super friends out in the world of granulated sugar. I hope your pursuits towards getting the candy are successful, and we look forward to being with you very soon.
Yeah, and just a reminder, send us your answers at our Gmail, fortofnerd@gmail.com, Twitter, which is twitter.com, or at fortofnerd on Twitter, or Facebook, which is facebook.com/fortofnerd. And bonus points if you send pictures.
And bonus points if you want to rate us on iTunes, because there might just be some cookies coming your way.
Rate us on iTunes and send us that email with your address. Steve has made a promise. And we know how he keeps his promises. He is a man of his word. He never goes back. He's like Thomas Jefferson or George Washington or one of those founding fathers that did something.
Okay. So, may the force be with you always. I'm serious. Goodbye.
You're going to have to make so many cookies, I hope. I hope so many people write in and review. So, you have to bake, 12 batches of cookies.
I'm like, sweetheart, I spent $200 on FedEx shipping.
Right?
She's like, you're done. I'm cutting you off.